And we're live.
All right. What's up, guys? Shawn Bowen, Full Circle Investment Group, wholesalingoutofthebox.com. Again, we're here for the Lunchtime Live. How you guys doing today? So while you guys are coming in here, just want to remind you, if you're interested in anything that we talk about during today, there's a lot of things available for you guys over at wholesalingoutofthebox.com. So those that are watching us live or those that are hearing the replay, a lot of these things are available to join us or talk to us about things you might need help with. So definitely take the time to go over to wholesalingoutofthebox.com and love to work with you over there. But today, guys, we are going to talk about action steps. And I want to kind of play off of our last meeting or our last talk that we had. And what are you looking to do to take steps to the first call and or building a list ultimately to get the first deal? So a lot of things I hear are guys coming to me and saying, hey, Shawn, I got this deal. And I love that, right? And my questions are, why is it a deal? And what are your numbers? And then a lot of the feedback I get is, well, I don't know, but I found a house and I think I found a deal. So this is where I encourage you guys to know your numbers, right? Know what your next steps are in order to ultimately reach the goal of if it's a deal or not. So I want to kind of like back up into that and show you guys what that looks like and talk about it for a second. So Ashley will put the link up here. But guys, if you're here watching us, feel free to come on live, click the link. And if you have questions while we're doing this, feel free to jump in here and ask us, and we'll go live and try to help you. So one of the big things I really want to focus on is the action step of building a type of list or contacting a specific type of motivated seller. So what does that look like, right? So who is a motivated seller? Is that on Facebook Marketplace? Is that on Driving for Dollars? Did you go to a courthouse and build a list? And from there, how did you reach out to contact the seller? Okay. So there's a lot of skip trace services. There's a lot of, truepeoplesearch.com. There's a lot of ways of trying to find owners of properties via the tax record and reaching out to those people. And then what does that conversation sound like, right? How are you talking to the seller? And one thing I hear a lot of guys talking about is scripts. Scripts are great to have to follow a guideline to start with. But I say if you're following a script, you're not listening to the seller. And the most important part about this is listening to why the seller has to sell today, right? Majority of calls and majority of sales in this market and real estate or like wholesaling are not going to be done on the first call. So you're going to need to have that follow-up. And then how do you formulate that? How do you formulate what your offer is going to be to your seller from what we use in the industry called the Mayo formula? And then move forward with making the offer based on repairs, right? How do you estimate repairs? That is a big, big contingency a lot of people don't know. And it also could be your make or break you from what's actually going to be a deal and what's not. So I'd say that to invite you guys to come check us out this Friday, right? And we'll be doing that live from a home, and we're going to be doing it online. So it will be a Zoom. So if you check us out at wholesalingoutofthebox.com and sign up for one of our property walkthroughs, then you can join us to learn how to do these numbers. And how does that look like is, what is it like to walk up to a property and start from exterior at the top and all the way down and then work your way on the inside to ultimately be able to come to a big ticket number to be able to make your seller an offer? And that's what we do during those meetings. We take the time for almost 2 hours to go in and talk about the numbers and how to estimate them and come to your quick numbers so that you can ultimately make your seller an offer. And then presenting that offer in paperwork, right? What does that look like? I see a lot of people going around saying, like, hey, I'll give you my contract. The problem with that is that you're getting into legal docs. Is that document for the state that you're in? And I'm going to speak to the state of Virginia currently. That's where we're at and where we do business. But I would say I highly recommend getting to an attorney. Like, talk to a local investment group that uses an attorney that's very familiar with wholesaling. And then ask them for that paperwork because they will help you with it, right? Majority of the time, most attorneys will give you the paperwork, or maybe they'll charge you for it. The next question is how do you fill it out, right? Because I don't want to go to somebody online to learn that. I want to go to the attorney that's going to teach me how to do that. And that's what I did, right? So I went to an attorney, asked them how it worked. They took the time to explain it. And then they charged me, I think it was like at the time, like $100. And then the next part of that was like, I need the assignment contract. So then I didn't know how to fill it out. I didn't know how to fill out the purchase and sale agreement. So I had to go and learn from all that, right? And learn from them in order to do that. So that was a really helpful moment. So I say all this, guys, to be where and what is your plan? What are you trying to do to take your next step of action, right? So everybody says, I want to make, $100,000 a year. So how do you reverse engineer to that number? Well, you got to get started. You got to take a step, right? Enough is enough with the learning. You got to actually go out and fail. You got to go out and fall, right? But do it in a forward manner. Like, take the time to fall. And if it happens, it happens. So what? You're learning. Get with somebody that does the business. Get within a group. Hopefully we're broadcasting this in different places. Virginia Wholesale Real Estate. You got us in our private group. You got us in some public groups. So reach out to us and get around those people that are doing the business that can help you, right? Because it's very frustrating when you start to go out, but you don't really know what to do. But maybe you listen to a few books, or you listen to a few podcasts, and you listen to a few maybe different radio shows, or like different people online. But it's all listening and there's no action behind it, right? So this is where you have to take action. You got to make a step forward. So I think, or I recommend, that this is the time where you set yourself up for success. And where do you have to put your information is highly important, right? So if you're going to be spending this time for driving around for dollars or building your list, where are you keeping that information? And then what makes you follow up with a seller, right? So this is either a CRM system, an Excel system, a Google Calendar, something that reminds you, hey, I need to call 123 Main Street for Dr. John that says he wants to sell his property. He didn't want to sell it today. That's what we're going for, guys. We're trying to get you guys in that movement forward and taking action, right? You realize, like, that's what has to happen ultimately anyway, right? You have to go out and mess up. You have to screw up. And you're not going to do it right out of the gate. And that's okay. That's not a problem. But you do have to take the action. So my question would be here with anybody that's watching, what steps have you taken for the past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get you started and get that uncomfortable feeling to become comfortable? And that's one of the big statements I make a lot with the people I work with that always ask me, like, I don't know what to do, Shawn. What makes you feel uncomfortable? What makes you feel as though you're going to screw something up? And it's probably getting on the phone and making a phone call and not even knowing where to start or what to say. So that's where you're pushing yourself. And that's where you're starting to get this movement forward, right? But remember, tracking is important. Tracking the information, the lead itself. Let's say it's John Smith is selling 123 Main Street in Chesapeake. He's not selling today. Great. I want to follow up with him in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. What and where is that information that's going to remind me to do that in 4 weeks? If it's as simple as a Google Calendar, use it, right? But you need to keep information about the seller and the notes and what they want to sell for, why they want to sell for. More importantly is their why. You can look up beds, baths, square footage, and all that later, right? My biggest hurt I had in the beginning, caring about stuff that didn't matter. I cared about asking about beds, bath, and square footage versus listening to what the seller was saying of why they had to sell. And when you change that thought process and you change what you're listening to, is when the transaction changes, because you're actually truly listening to the seller and trying to help them solve a problem. You're not getting through a script, right? This was a big changer for me, guys, when I did this. And I promise you, if you take the time to put these little action pieces in play, you will be on your way to your first deal. You will be on your way to your next deal and more organized. You will be able to see your numbers, right? Believe it or not, in the beginning, you will formulate your own KPIs if you're tracking them. And this business is not that hard, okay? But it does take organization in order to save yourself time in the future. If you're going to plan on going out and driving for dollars for an hour or two, and then go and look the information up, and then reach out to actually contact these people and only talk to them one time and never follow up with them again, why? That would be my question, is why? Because that's a lot of time to invest in yourself and a lot of time to invest in talking with a seller to only talk to them once. What's the next step? What's the next touch method? How are you going to reach out to them again? And these are the kind of things that I wanted to talk about today, which is just action items. So we're about a few minutes in here. I've got a few people that are watching. I think we got a few people here. So guys, Ashley will put the link here and you guys can jump on and check us out and come on live and let's talk about what you're doing to take your next step to get that first deal or next deal. And how are you tracking? What are you doing to track? Okay. Take a little bit of time to let you guys come in here and leave some comments. Leave some comments for us. Also, when these things go live, sometimes we're on our podcast. They're going to be on replay. Leave remarks here for us. Doesn't matter where it's at, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Leave us a comment and ask us questions, and we will get back with you, right? This is something I've been looking forward to for a long time, guys, and we've been doing it for a while. We've been helping people for a long time, but our reach is becoming a lot larger now with different audiences. And I'm looking forward to this. And I'm really looking forward to helping you guys get there. But the action items that have to be put in play, bare minimum, is stepping forward and doing it and doing the work, right? There is no push button system. There is no automatic press this and then just money's going to fall from the sky. That is not realistic. I don't care who tries to sell you on anything. It's not real. You got to do the work, right? You have to put the work in to be able to do this business. So give it a second. See if we have some guys come on or if we have some people in here. Hey, Roy, what's up, man? I see you over there. Guys, we'll have a good story here coming up in an interview shortly where Roy is a gentleman that's been part of this group for a while now, and he's actually on his first and second deal. They have fortunately come consistently behind each other, but I'm really going to enjoy that interview, and you guys will too. Roy is over in Tel Aviv. Him and I met online, and he's doing his first deal and going to make a pretty sizable chunk of money. So we'll get you to that interview, and then you can see it. So it'll be really cool to see that and be part of that. I've enjoyed working with him. So yeah, guys, come on in and write some questions and ask some questions. And if you want to go live, please feel free to join us over here and go live. But let's see. So let's talk about, let's kind of keep going here while you guys are coming on, while you guys are joining us and kind of running through this. But where is your list coming from, right? So are you going online and purchasing the list that everybody else is purchasing? Are you going out and driving for dollars to build your own list? And then what are you doing to try to find that person's information? And then where and what kind of system have you put together to keep that information tracked so that you can follow up with that person, right? And then how do you make your offers, right? What formula do you use in order to get to the offer that makes sense, right? Like seller says they want 100 grand and you can't offer more than 50. How do you guys get to that number? Or is it too far off? Do you know the questions to ask? Do you know the hows and the whys to get to ultimately get that seller down to reality? Or is it just that it doesn't make sense today and you should follow up with them? And then, of course, doing your walkthrough at a home, maybe a virtual walkthrough, and then doing a physical walkthrough so that you can make your formula to the rehab cost and be able to turn around and make that offer to the seller. And then what makes you follow up with an appointment, right? And then ultimately get that seller under contract, doing the paperwork, understanding the paperwork, and knowing what the next steps are, right? I hear a lot of guys coming in here, or not even here, but in general in the market saying like, take time to build a buyer's list. And I actually had this call earlier today where a guy was talking to me and said, hey, Shawn, I want to work with you. I got some buyers in the pipeline that said they want to buy. Awesome. How do you vet your buyer? And he said, well, I pull a list to see what people bought properties and absentee owner status. They own the property 100% loan to value. And I said, okay, stop all that. What do you do when you get them on the phone? What do you ask them? And he didn't really have an answer, right? Because he's going off of what most people talk about and what they do. But guys, it's like a conversation that happens with anything. It's a conversation with the seller. It's the same conversation for a buyer. Just be transparent. Just be straight. What do you buy? How are you funded? And what LTV do you buy at? And I promise you, if you take that few minutes to talk to the seller, the first thing that's out of their mouth needs to be, how are you funded? That's the most important part. Funded by hard money, which behind that needs to be a down payment, right? That down payment is not 100% funding. It's down payment to the hard money lender. My capital, it's my money. I can show you a bank account statement that has it in it. Or it's traditional financing, right? So again, guys, this is deep dive stuff, like try to talk about a little bit of it and then go a little deep and bring it back to you guys and show you where we're at and what we're doing and why it's so important. So, Sparkle, how are you? Awesome to see you here. Looking forward to working with you on that CRM too. So yeah, let's see. Been in here for a few minutes and try to stay on track with you guys and not hang out too much for you. Try to drill too deep, right? Kind of keep it lunchtime live, easy going. So guys, thank you so much if you've been here this long and you're hanging out. If you guys realize, I think I'm all fancy now. I got this microphone for our podcast. So I'm trying to learn how to use that thing. But yeah, while you guys are here and you're, watching us and listening, for those that are here live and those that are listening to the replay, please feel free to always join us at wholesalingoutofthebox.com for any of these things that you're interested in joining us at. You can join us there, and looking forward to working with you guys for sure. Right. This is one of those things where I get a lot of people that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's pretty much the same thing over and over with a fine tooth comb that's just tweaked a little bit to help you get going, and then using those pieces to make life a lot easier. And definitely know that you're going to be able to do your deal quicker, and probably with less headache. So anybody here currently that has any questions? Anybody here that has some experience that maybe they've gone through some stuff and they're frustrated or they just can't get traction? I had another person reach out to me and said they wanted to be accountability. They wanted an accountability group, and I asked them what they wanted to do. And they're like, I need to get my first deal done fast. Okay, cool. What do you want to do? There just was no answer. So I responded back and said, what's your goal? Right. And of course they came up with a number. I want to make $50,000. Okay, let's talk about how you get there with that. And then what are you doing to get there? What are you doing to track any of this information to ultimately get to your goal? Because, talking about it's one thing. Doing it, totally different game. Actually doing the work, actually taking the time, doing what takes to get where you're going and actually execute on it. And know that you're going to screw up along the way. Very, very important to just take action. So again, this talk today was taking actions to keep yourself in the moving forward direction instead of a lot of people use the phrase paralysis of analysis. And it's being stuck with just learning. Why? Just go screw it up. It's okay. What's the worst case? You screw it up and it doesn't work. That's pretty much the worst case. If you go as far as like actually get into contract or you get into paperwork, what happens there, right? Did you screw up so bad that you couldn't get out of it? Or did you actually care that you were trying to do something the right way and you could actually help the seller? Or was it almighty dollar, right? I get it. Sometimes it's all about the money, but it's not for us if you're really trying to do this as a long-term business. That's what matters, right? You do what you say you're going to do. You follow through with what you say you're going to do, and you finish it. And if you screw up, you fess up, right? And you go back and you tell the seller, hey, I screwed up here and here's what I did, right? So that's something that's a big deal, a big deal. Give me a second, guys. At home, got your dog barking. So anyway, so back over to that. It's just, finishing what you say you're going to do, follow through with it, and then actually care about the seller and try to help them. Because the more you actually help, the more money you will actually make, right? That's so true, guys. So anybody else here that has any more questions or really wants to dig in and kind of go live here and ask some questions. Remember, guys, the link's there above. Ashley will share it with you. And it says you can join us over here and go live. That way we can bring you guys on if you have something to talk about. Maybe you guys have had an experience or it hasn't worked out. And then what do you do to make that progression forward? Are you stuck? Are you frustrated? Good. Get mad. Get in there and do something about it. Right? But don't just be mad about it. Figure out what the problem is and work through it. That's a big one. So we got anybody here currently that wants to come on and talk, wants to come in and ask some questions? Try to help you guys as much as I can. And hopefully you guys that are listening to the replay, you guys will come back over here and write some comments and some questions or things that we can help you with to try to make progress for you. Guys, we've been in this business for a long time and we've only gotten better at it as a company and tracking our numbers and strictly tracking some very heavy KPIs to know how many calls to how many appointments to contracts to close, time to close, profit. If we didn't track those, we wouldn't be able to scale and grow as a company. So even when I was starting by myself, that was something I started to learn to do. And as soon as I started doing it, things started getting better. And I actually knew where I was going and what I was doing. And from there, I was able to build a company and get better. And then those people have helped the company grow and get better. So this is all part of it. But you've got to take the first step yourself. You can't come into this thing and say, I'm going to hire a virtual assistant and I expect them to know what I don't know. I don't want them to do it. That can't be done that way. You got to understand what you're teaching and what you need done yourself because you've done it and you've experienced it. And then take those steps, make a training video, get them to them, let them take it and try it and screw it up and then come back and fix it and then keep moving forward, right? And then now you're going to have this wheel that's turning slowly and more consistently, right? You're actually getting the traction to where you're actually getting things to work. And you'll see that. And that's a big part of this business. So guys, one of the, if you're here and listening to what I'm talking about, one of the books I highly recommend is Traction. Well, 3 books really. I recommend the Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If your mindset's not there, that's a massive mind shift book. Always changing this brain space is more important than anything. And from there, it's traction, understanding how to run your business, understanding things that you need to do as a business, right? Your everything that's consistent rocks. You have accountability meetings, you have charts that you're tracking all your information on, right? And then how to negotiate. And one of those books I would recommend is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And that's a really, really good book. So those three were game changers for me as a person and a business. And then I felt as though I was just able to get movement from there. But because I took the steps to start putting things in play, to actually start taking action, right? And again, this whole talk today was, what is your next action steps? And that's very, very important. So, well, guys, we're almost here at the end. I try to keep on here for about 30 minutes for you guys. And if you guys didn't have any other questions, I always thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you for the time for listening to the replay if you did. And always reach out to us and leave us comments and questions and challenges of things you might want us to help you with, right? That's what we're here to try to help you guys with. So always check us out at wholesalingoutofthebox.com. Again, I enjoy being here and hanging out with you guys. Hopefully these things are helpful. Hopefully if they're not, write us, let us know. These are horrible. They don't do anything. Or if they're helping you, let us know. All right. And give us some feedback. Always enjoy it. Again, guys, thanks for taking the time to be here with us. And we'll see you on the next one.